I'm Srishti Day, Product Manager for DGPay.Guru, and with me, I'm having Mr. Mushahid Khatri, who is the Technical Head and the Solution Architect for our solution DGPay.Guru. Today, we are going to talk about how cloud is becoming the growing source of fintechs and why one should consider switching to the cloud technologies. In this session of ours, we are going to start with the basic introduction and then we will go on to talk about the revolution of fintech, why the large players hesitate to switch to the cloud technologies, the role of cloud in the future of fintech, and the good practices that one should implement while adopting to the cloud technologies. Now, to begin with, fintech is a dynamic segment which is formed by the integration of financial services and the technology sectors. This particular sector is innovating the products and services of the traditional financial service industry. The fintech revolution is gaining significant momentum due to the cloud technology that, with evolution, has moved from the experimental phase to the implementation phase. The 2020s has surely been the era of the cloud. Not only more organizations are moving their infrastructure to the cloud, but over 55% of the organizations say that they are using multiple public clouds according to the 2020 study that has been done by IDG Cloud Computing. Here you can see the statistics that has been collected by the BVP group, wherein it talks about the 2021 Cloud 100 statistics. In here we can see that the private cloud valuations have been continued to get bigger and huger over the periods. Now the Cloud 100 2021 is worth an aggregate of 518 billion USD in 2021 as compared to the 267 billion USD in 2020, which is about 94% of increase year over year. In addition to that, the average cloud company valuation is 5.2 billion, which is an increase of 2.5 billion year over year. In this particular slide, you can also see how fintech has grown the valuation, and it's the highest valuation in the subsector. The top 10 cloud companies, it represents about 200 billion of equity value alone. Stripe, which was unseated by the Snowflake in 2020, it has secured its number one spot once again, and it is the top ranked company, which is valued at $95 billion. Fintech has surely surpassed the data infrastructure as the most valuable Cloud 100 category. Although there are the sales, marketing, and the customer success softwares that continue to have the plurality as compared to that of the fintech in the list. Now, over here we can see how fintech is the highest or the most significant subsector in the cloud categories, and it has only got 12 companies of fintechs that we have included in the list. Now, with only these 12 companies on the list, this subsector, it holds about 28% of the list's equity, and its value is $146 billion, and it is the second highest valued subsector anchored by Stripe, which alone holds 18% of the value of this entire fintech category. When we talk about the drivers of fintech revolution, there are many reasons that drive the fintech revolution. Some of them being the technological innovations, regulatory body regulations, and the evolving customer preferences. Despite the banks being available everywhere, they are now unable to meet the demands of the present generation who do not want to wait in the queue in a bank branch. The current generation, if I talk, is more inclined into getting all the services, accessing all the services right from their location remotely and at their particular convenience, which somehow is being hindered or restricted when we talk about the physical bank branches. Now, along with that, with the mass market penetration of the smartphones, users they want now a simple yet quick banking procedure, which is available on an automated digital platform, just like how Google Pay or Alipay works. Furthermore, the use of advanced technologies like the cloud computing, blockchain, artificial intelligence, data analytics, and RPA, that we know as the robotic process automation, it has also increased exponentially. The rate of adoption in fintech innovations it has increased, impacting the banking and the other fintech sectors across the globe. Moreover, there have been the mandatory regulations in the finance industry that also drives the fintech revolution. When we talk about the fintech on cloud, currently the financial firms they are using the cloud mainly for the non-core processes, which involves majorly the onboarding, registration part, the customer service part, or the rewards part. But as the offering of the services improve, the use of the right technology it becomes necessary to process the core activity in areas such as the customer payments, billings, and the credit scoring, and so on. Interestingly, there have been small number of banks who have successfully and more quickly made the change by moving all the core services to the cloud. And as these and other larger banks they adopt the new fintech, the service offerings will excel in the competitive landscape, thereby helping to drive the entire digital transformation race. Now, when we talk about why the large players are hesitant, so these are the four major points that we've recognized. One of them being the legacy systems. Now, many large and the old players they are stuck with their legacy systems, especially the core of the operations. These systems they are not cloud native and they are not very flexible in terms of configurability and the integrations. Although a containerized approach does help, partly when some of the capabilities are allowed with the plug and play with other interfaces and the partners, but this is just a short to mid-term solution, and many large players they are actually working on redefining their entire core solution, which to the cloud native solution. I'm sorry. Now, this will also involve the larger digital transformation, and it may take some time to transform entirely, but it may play out the role over the few years. Second is comfort. Now, well, on one side, cloud does offer enhanced security, scalability, uptime, and availability. Most of the large players they're also slightly uncomfortable as it involves shifting all of their critical solution to somebody else's environment. This is more about a psychological feeling of control, and it will get addressed over a period with a better acceptance and adoption of the cloud. Third is wherein they have got multiple cloud options. Now, with multiple clouds existing, many established players they are gradually watching and waiting for the maturity and experience with the other players as well. I also feel that the multiple cloud environments or providers they can also make issues complicated with reference to the partners and the integrations. But this will get addressed as we will have a set of large key cloud players, and as people gain familiarity and comfort the using them, they will then slowly adapt to the cloud technologies. Today, there are also tools that manages the multi-cloud configurations, which can again help them in future. And lastly is the cloud expenses. Now, when we talk about the cloud expenses, uh, most of the large players they are very hesitant because they are not having the correct trust on the clouds, and they have this lack of reliability. So what they do is they first move to the hybrid cloud environment before completely moving to the cloud. So in this particular scenario, they run the services on their own data centers, and they also have the cloud setup, which increases the overall complexity and the cost. And this transition, the complete transition, it takes about a few years, ranging between 2 to 3 years probably, and this becomes a challenge for them. So it is very clear that although there are challenges, gradually all the players will move to address them and gain the comfort with the cloud. We can also infer that this will likely happen over the next 5 to 7 years, and not very instantly, of course. Persisting to the regulatory bodies, persisting to the legacy the trust and the reliability factor that the users already have instilled in them. Till such time, many large players they will not have much of flexibility, and they may possibly want to partner with the existing fintech solutions that's there in the markets. Now, Mr. Mushahid will actually go on and explain how cloud plays a role in the future of fintech. Over to you, Mushahid.
Okay. Thank you, Srishti, for the brief introduction and overview about the, how fintech is working during the last decade. Okay, and more specifically on the different part, but I would say most on the technology part because the technology is the backbone of the any system. Okay, so here we'll be talking about how the technology perspective, how it, what is the role for the cloud because cloud is the one where you'll be deploying all your data, all your software and all. Okay, so how and what will be the role of the particular thing on the fintech part. Okay, so very first thing that is coming into our mind is that the security because whenever we talk about the fintech, very first thing that we think is the whatever the system is there is the secured one or what because that is dealing with the financial thing. Okay, so first thing is the security compliance. So now, if we talk about the in-house system that is hosted into some premises, okay, and one is the hosted on the cloud, okay. So there is two different things. If we talk about the security as well, then there is two type of security. One is the physical security. Although it sounds like not realistic, but it is true. Like, say, if you do have the system hosted on your premises, and some let's say a natural disaster is happening, or somebody is coming to your server and he's let's say installing the hardware or whatever it is, then to your security is breaches here. Okay, and coming to the cloud side, so you don't need to worry on the physical part of the security. The thing is that you need to secure the access to the server, you need to secure the I would say whatever the traffic that is coming to your server and going outside, that thing you need to take care. And now if we talk about the latest cloud technology, they have a lot of security feature implemented. Again, it's depend on the what kind of a cloud provider that you are taking. Okay, but of course, even though the security is that much enhanced that not even single layer is there for the security. You may need to go into the 3 to 4 layer, then only you'll be able to access the server. And we can say that now we can totally rely on the security of the cloud at this point of time because lots of systems are there on the cloud right now and they are pretty much secure, right? The second concern for the role of the cloud is the high availability. So that is obvious thing. I mean, if you do have a system hosted on your premises, okay, that is on the one premise only. You cannot extend and say that okay, it will be. You cannot have the two to three data center and all because there, if you want to have a multiple data center, then what you need to do is you need to again set up whole system on the different place as well. But if we talk about the cloud, then probably if you are going with the best cloud provider, okay, they generally the cloud provider is having multiple data center into one region. So probably you are in one city, and there is a nearby data center is there. If you are in a different city, there is also a nearby data center is there. So even though what I mean to say is even though your one data center is down, you can rely with the another data center itself, and that is completely handled by the cloud provider itself. So you don't need to worry on that part as well. But whereas if you talk about the on-premises one, if your server is down, then you cannot do anything. It will completely, I mean, your business will be affected, of course. But if you do have the multiple options over there, then obviously you can have at least server running, and your customer will not be hampered due to that. Okay. The other part is the self-service applications. So if you see in the past years, we do have a pandemic of COVID-19. Okay. And previously the people were going to the physically going to the bank or offices, and they were doing work because they have the access over the office only. But now if we talk about the pandemic, then even though for the staff of the banking staff and all, okay, they can't access, they can't go to the physically go to the office and they can have the access. Ultimately it is impacting on the business, the operations. But the solution is to have the system on the cloud so that they can access it from anywhere in the world. They are at home, they can access, and your work will be carried on. So that is for the self-service application. You can have your system on the cloud, give the access to your staff, or even for the customers as well, and they can have the things done by their home only. You don't need to go for the physically visiting the offices or whatever it is. Okay. Uh, Another thing is the scalability and flexibility. So if we go this, I would say scalability is the main part for the cloud, because today I'm having X number of customers on my system, but tomorrow it's gonna be increased by 2 times or 3 times. So obviously the thing is that I need to enhance my server architecture as well. I need to get more resources to my server. Okay. If we do have that thing on the cloud, then we don't need to physically maintain the new server, do the deployment and all. It can be replicated over the cloud by cloud provider itself. That is the scalability. Okay. Now, in terms of if we talk about the expanding your server, then there is also a need of decreasing the server resources. Why? There may be case like say you do have high traffic on the particular time, but probably at some point of time you do have very low traffic. Then at that point of time you don't need to have multiple resources. So that can be possible only with the cloud, because if you do have the physical software at your own premises, okay, you have to purchase either resources, you have to set up the things. Okay, you cannot physically every time go and release the system, release the resources, and again add the resources. No, you cannot do manually that. Okay, every time. So that's the reason the cloud provider is there. You can enhance the server anytime, you can decrease the server anytime, and that will save you on the part of the cost. That is our last point of this thing. Okay, use the resources as you want. If you don't need, then release it. If you need it, then increase it. That is the case in the cloud. You cannot do it in the on-premises one. Okay. Another point that we do have over here is the potential for the innovation. So I mean, if you do have the cloud service, okay, that is I would say matching to the latest technology of today's. I mean also the technology is the thing that is changing day to day. Okay, and now if you don't match with the technology, then you cannot match with the competition right now. And that is possible in if you do have the cloud provider, because they are on the cloud, they're updating their technology. If you do have a physical server at your home, then you cannot every time update it, because you do have set up the server on the on premises, and that will remain same until and unless you update whole server. And that is not the case on the cloud. If you just do the particular part of the updation, you do the implementation, and you do the innovation. Probably, let's say today you do have only system that is managing the operation, but after the 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, you want to analyze the data, you want to make the report and all, that you take from the cloud server, you adapt the new technology and make the report and take the next business decision. That will help you to move with the next 5 years of the fintech. I mean, you can see that, okay, these are the my growth, and I need to work on this point. So these are the adoption that you can do from the cloud. Okay, uh, so these are the core roles that the cloud will be affecting into the fintech. Now moving next. So although we are suggesting that okay, you should be going with the cloud, but there is there is few things like say you need to be assured that okay, if you're going with a particular cloud, then what are the key factors that you will be taking care of? Okay, very first thing is the encryption and access control. So as I previously mentioned that okay, you do have the server on the cloud, but if it is open, if it is accessible by the anyone, then there is no meaning for the having the server on the cloud, and more specifically for the fintech industry, because it is very much important. So you need to be assured that okay, the access to the server is encrypted, probably with certain keys, certain private keys, public keys, and all. Okay, then this access should be limited to the respective person who is responsible for the particular thing. So one person should not be able to access all the things. If someone is just looking after for the server monitoring, and he cannot do any change to the server. He should have the access for the monitoring only. That should be taken care before we go with the cloud solution. And also, you should be making. I mean, this criteria you should be considering before choosing the cloud provider as well, because many of the cloud provider only provides the in-house system, that is kind of virtual machines only. They don't provide any other things like say auto scalability, then the access control, encryption, and all. So we need to be assured on that part as well. Another thing is the compliance. So again, once once you are choosing the cloud provider, you should be taking care of the compliance based on your country. Is the provider is having the compliance as per your country's rules and regulations or not? That has to be there. So you need to be taking care of that part as well. Another thing is the data segregation and data management. So that is kind of I would say architecture part. So you should not be storing your data at same I would say same bucket. You should be storing the data. You should be segregating the data based on the your uses. Like say reporting data should be on the different, then the your transaction data should be on the different. You should have the multiple data centers if the data is getting uh, if the customer is accessing from certain point of location, then he should be accessing from the particular data center and all. So that should be there into the cloud provider itself. Okay, and the last point that is very much important for the all system is that the disaster recovery plan. You should be taking the backup of your data repeatedly on every certain point of time. Let's say it can be, if it is a very critical data, then it should be backing up at every hour or every 30 minutes and all. If it is a reporting data, then you should be taking backup of every day. And in case of any failure, it should be auto recover to the that point. That must be there on the every system, specifically into the fintech industry. If it is not that, then you should not be working for the fintech industry, because data is the primary thing that every customer needs, and that brings the customer's confidence. Okay, so yeah, that are these are the best practices that we need to follow when we are doing this the I would say when we are doing the migration to the cloud or whatever it is. Okay, now next thing is just yeah. So these are the final concluding part, or I would say key takeaways of what we have discussed till now. Okay, cloud cloud essence. So even though whatever business is there right now, okay, you need to have the cloud platform to deploy your system. Even to deploy your system, or I would say to enhance your system and all. Okay, more on that part, that security. So as I told you previously, that the in-house system is there, but that is having the less security. For that part also, you need to be moving to the cloud. Um, Although you should be choosy with the part of the which cloud provider it is, what kind of a access control are there, what kind of a recovery mechanism is there, everything. And based on that, you should be choosing the cloud. But yeah, of course, you should be moving with the cloud to enhance your system, not today, but probably tomorrow. Okay. If we talk about the AWS, so AWS has started the cloud services, I think, since 15 years ago. But still, if you see that before 15 years, the things were different. And now, if you see, today, if we see about the AWS, then the they are providing, I would say, a lot surveys. No, I would say, I mean, no other provider is providing that. Okay, even though if you see the big giants like the Netflix and all, they are on the AWS itself right now, and they have scaled themselves on very high level as well. Okay, and last part for this session is the although, I mean, we can say that it will be the future of every system, not only the fintech, but I would say all the system will be moving towards the cloud based on our research on the part of the systems, and specifically in the fintech industry. Mostly people are choosing the cloud solution provider, considering their next plan for the 5 years or 10 years, based on the because they want the scalable, they want the secure, they want the flexible system, and they can adapt all the things for the latest technology. Okay, so yeah, these are the key takeaways, and the last part is okay. Yeah, we are done for these things. Do you have any questions till now? So you can ask.
You can type in the chat if you have any questions. The presentations, of course, we will be sharing it after the session over your email IDs.
Anyone
I
having any questions?
No, I guess they are good. Guys, in case you have any other questions or you have anything that you want to discuss with us, you can write us to hello@dgpay.guru and we'll get back to you with the appropriate responses and the knowledge. All right, then I think we can end this session now, Mushahid.
Yeah, sure. Okay then.
Thank you so much for
Thank
attending
you. Thank you
and
so much.
thank you. Bye bye. Have a nice day.